I swear to say the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. I was instructed by former President Jonathan at UTOMI. He was paying me $25,000 every 2 months. Peter Obi that you see. This Peter Obi, he cannot...
build up to 2019
The
elections.
emails are there. If he denies it, I will disgrace him. Come here. Go to the back. Go all the way. Go to the back. Now, this is an eyewitness. Malam Nasir El-Rufai is one of the most articulate human beings I've ever met in my life. The first time I heard him stammer was that day. If I tell you, with $200 million, this Natasha, she paid. You know, I'm a meticulous record keeper, so when I speak, people do not want to contradict me, because if you contradict me, you'll be disgraced. I saw Natasha, the girl fine. You remember I told you, I said, Nigerians don't understand economics. They just understand EBA, right? What has Bola Tinubu done? Nigeria is not an oil-rich country. We are an oil-poor country. We are an oil-poor country. Ghana, in terms of per capita wealth from oil, Ghana is wealthier than us. Listen to this now. The PDP would have won the election. Bola Ahmed Tinubu is not the kind of politician that you can defeat as an incumbent. A man like that. Look, let me finish, please. Don't interject.
Hey, I'm a piano go carry you, they go. Hey, I'm a piano go carry you, they go. They carry you, they go. They carry you, they go. Before I get carried away, our Niger brothers and sisters in Josie, Johannesburg, South Africa, I have very important information for you. Now, when you hear Johnny Walker, what is the first thing that comes to mind? The world's #1 Scotch whiskey. Of course. But I'm about to introduce you to a whole new experience. The Johnny Walker Afro Exchange. The party of the year. The biggest party in Africa that will light up Josie on Saturday, 28th of June, 2025. Great atmosphere. Hit songs back to back. Good food. Dance. I beg, go get your ticket. Our Niger people, you know say we know they carry last when it comes to party. So what are you waiting for? Let us take that Owambe, courtesy of Johnny Walker Afro Exchange, to Josie and shake everywhere. South Africa, Nigeria, coming together is about to get lit. See you on Saturday, June 28th, 2025. Welcome to the Honest Bunch podcast. Super excited to do this every time. We are grateful to God, the giver of wisdom. And most importantly, when we say every time, when they come, they watch what they curate. It is because of you that we dig deep. We go do our research. We'll come look for a topic when go impact your life. Come bring guests, them when sabi the matter to talk them well. We are really very, very grateful. Continue to support us. Give us advice, suggestions, so that we can improve and be better. Now, make I give shout out to OhentPay. Una know I don't they talk about the money app. If you want move, if you want also send money so that people go do 1 or 2, you know, say na OhentPay. Most importantly, 190 countries, no more excuse. Your uncle that is there, your auntie that is there can send you and you will enjoy yourself. OhentPay, the best way to go. Now, let me introduce the amazing quartet that give you great content every week. I'm going to begin first with our Gen Z body, representing a generation of audacious Nigerians. They will talk their mind. They will tell you how it is, and you must listen to them because Tobati Soros, okay, you must hear their voice. The one and the only beautiful, delectable, drop-dead gorgeous, Gen Z with the fear of God. ATIKU!
Hi, chummies.
Chummies.
Salam alaikum.
Salam alaikum.
I come in peace.
You're welcome. You're come in peace. Ladies and gentlemen, what is better than one beautiful Nigerian woman? 2 beautiful Nigerian women. And when you have them in the same space, the energy that they exude is something that would definitely you would enjoy. The beautiful, delectable, soft like the morning sun, soft like Ekiti Pounded Yam. The light has come. Win-won, Adazulezu, asankbokoto.com. By the special grace of God, incoming! Ugoji is in the bush, mama! Ladies and gentlemen, a man with great experience. In the broadcast media, he is a blessing. A lot of us listen to him growing up, and every time you just listen to his voice, your mind go just, they wonder. To work with him was something that inspired so many of us, and we are grateful that we got the chance. And the fact that he's a part of us gives us great joy. Ladies and gentlemen, God created radio, brought this man's voice, and he has been impacting generations. The one and the only Daddy Free!
Thank you.
Yes, yours truly.
Chief Obatosuwan.
Oh my God! No, they don't go there. Just leave it. You know, God resists the proud. Ladies and gentlemen, our guest is a patriotic Nigerian. I shall say, if you cut and small, now green in blood go they bleed. He carried the country Nigeria for a head like who they hawk plantain chips for traffic. He not they take this country play. He not get anything when you go tell him about this country. When you go tell, he say, no, you must know thyself. And when you know thyself, you will know who thy are. And you will do everything to improve. He prides himself as the antidote of people who think that they can do this country anyhow or talk about this country. He not agree for them, they face them. Ladies and gentlemen, an accomplished author, a patriot, and an adventure traveler, and one who is a proud Nigerian, a man that represents his culture anywhere he goes. Some people don't know, but this is a person will be saying, not just wake up yesterday or 2 years ago or 5 years ago. He don't even do government, work in close proximity with person will be the president of this country. Ladies and gentlemen, the table shaker, history maker, the one who destroys the destroyable, the one and the only Reno Omokri.
Thank you guys. Thank you for having me.
So I think a very good place to start would be, you know, a lot of people look at the man Reno Omokri and just think, he get one person will be say for social media, he go just they talk. If we talk, he go talk. He go just they talk, he own, then they drag him. But not too many people know that at some point you were special assistant to former President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, and you played a very critical role in disseminating information about our country, about the wonderful works of government at the time, and, you know, just let Nigerians be up to speed with what was going on. So I would like to ask, you know, for those who do not know, the man Reno Omokri, how did it happen that you now started working as special assistant to former President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan?
Well, I was in the United States and I was living there. First of all, it all began, I was in the United Kingdom actually. I schooled and I began working in Parliament. And while I was working in Parliament, Waziri ATIKU, then Vice President of Nigeria, he recruited me from Parliament and I left my job. I had to cut my hair because I had long braids up to here. That was the last day of October. I came on September 1st, 2003. And I began working with him, preparing him to run in 2007. But then he had a very big quarrel with his boss, the president at that time, and I just got married. And after that, they began arresting our colleagues just one by one. And, you know, you can be brave when you're by yourself, but when you just recently got married and then you now have a child, I had my first child 2005. Shola. And so I just decided to take a holiday and I went to the United States, was a resident, US resident. So I decided not to come back. And it was a good thing because the guy whose office was next to mine was arrested, you know. So I stayed in the United States and I started working at a political consulting firm. And what happened was I had a number of clients, and you're not going to believe it. You know, one of my first clients of Nigerian origin was Malam Nasir El-Rufai. We were very close. We were really, really very close. And then, you know, Malam Nasir El-Rufai, you know, we said together, we were going to fight Buhari. We are going to, in fact, the word that Malam Nasir El-Rufai used for me is that we are going to retire Buhari. You and I, Reno, we're going to retire Buhari. And so I was really, really very excited. You know, I was enthusiastic. And then one day I just saw in the papers that Malam Nasir El-Rufai had declared for Buhari. And I was at a party in Sacramento. So I called him. Malam Nasir El-Rufai is one of the most articulate human beings I've ever met in my life. The first time I heard him stammer was that day. Reno is like, and I almost lost faith in Nigeria. But then he had introduced me to Malam Nuhu Ribadu. And Malam Nuhu Ribadu, I have to say this, it's as if all of the goodness in this world is deposited in that man. I know it's almost blasphemous to say that, but that's just how the man is. So I said, okay, if Malam Nasir El-Rufai has disappointed me, I'm going to now see how we can promote Malam Nuhu Ribadu. Now, I was talking to Malam Nuhu Ribadu, you must run. And he didn't want to run. You know, he came to California, we spent time together, you know, we had a very good time. I took him around California, he played with my kids, you know, he played with my wife. I had a big party for him. I invited the Nigerian community. And when he was about to go back, you know, I was driving him to the airport, and he said, look, I have a friend, you know, my my friend is sick. He's got cancer, and I'd like to go see him. And I said, okay, let's go see him. But if we go see him, you're going to miss your flight. And he says, okay, no, I should get him on the next flight. So I said, okay, I was going to get him on the next flight. And then I tried to do it. And then he I told him how much it was going to cost. He said, you got to understand that this is a man that did not steal. He said, no, the money is too much. No, the money is too much. So I pretended on the freeway in, I think it was the US 101, that my car had a fault. So I went to the back and I just paid for the ticket for him. I changed his ticket. So we went to see his friend. It turned out to be a guy called Oronto Douglas. And so, he introduced me to Oronto Douglas. And then Oronto Douglas just asked him, who's this guy? And he says, he's my friend, we're quite kind of close. He said, I know, but who is he? So he says, well, he's a political consultant. And then Oronto said, the president just said that he wants to open a Facebook page. Can he do it for me? And, that's how we just began talking. We began talking, I took Malam Rubadu back to the airport. Oronto called me. I came back. I said, well, I'm already running media campaigns. I used to do it for Malam Nasir Rufai, but, we fell out. And I did not want to disappoint him. So I just packaged all the social media. I had built him up. He had the most popular social media presence in Nigeria. I gave everything back to him. I could have taken it. I started it. I paid for it. But I gave everything back to him. And then I was now trying to do some stuff for other people, Pat UTOMI, and some other people, maybe they wouldn't want their name mentioned. Pat doesn't mind his name being mentioned because Pat is responsible for making me a dollar millionaire. Pat UTOMI. And I'm going to always give him his props. He was paying me $25,000 every 2 months. The contract was $12,500, and I was just willing to just do it monthly. He says, no, I'm going to be paying you bi-monthly. So he was giving me $25,000, which is, it helped me buy my first house in California. Anyway, from there, I met with Oronto, and Oronto said, what can you do for us? What can you do for the president? I said, okay, well, I'd learned to under-promise and over-deliver. So I told them, I said, okay, I'm going to deliver, 50,000 followers for the president, within a month. He said, you can do that? I said, yeah, I can do that. So he said, okay, go ahead. And then within that time frame, I was able to deliver 250,000, 5 times what I promised. So they were so excited. The president was so excited. Everybody was happy. Nobody knew it was me. Everybody thought, obviously, it was the president. He was making, waves and all of that. So what happened was that General Babangida was going to contest, and he was going to declare on a Wednesday. I think it was in September of 2010. He was going to declare. And I just felt to myself that if this man declares, acting President Jonathan is finished, because he's going to get the momentum. All the PDP governors are going to support him. So I didn't tell anybody. I just wrote a declaration speech. And on the day that General Babangida was going to declare, that morning, I just released it. The president was livid. They called. They will deal with that useless boy. They were so angry. And I said, okay, you know what? If by tomorrow, the front page headlines are saying Babangida, then cut ties with me, sever ties with me. But if by tomorrow, every paper is saying that Jonathan has made history by being the first president or the first candidate in the whole world to declare on social media, then keep me. The next day, nothing about Babangida. Babangida was just a tiny byline. The whole front pages, all the headlines, Jonathan. Then we bought Newsweek, front page of Newsweek, Jonathan. From insults, because that's what they say. They say that results cancel the insults. Mm-hmm. From insults, it was, let that boy come to Nigeria. Let him come to Nigeria. And that's how I came to Nigeria. And that's how I began doing what I was doing for President Jonathan.
Interesting. So it's good to, hear this story, because the truth is, like we mentioned, you did not just come from anywhere. And it wasn't just until 2023. But this is in 2 parts, because for some people, they got to know more about Reno Omokri, given the position that you occupied at the time as spokesperson for Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, and how you were very vocal.
I wasn't spokesperson for Alhaji. Alhaji Atiku Abubakar wanted me to be a spokesperson. And I said, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to be a spokesperson for a president and then now come and be a spokesperson for a presidential candidate. But I will hire your media team. So he already had some media people in place. I hired Segun Showumi. I interviewed him. I called him. I hired him. I told him, okay, how much do you want to be paid? The Segun Showumi that I hired him. I hired him. And I'm a meticulous record keeper. So when I speak, people do not want to contradict me, because if you contradict me, you'll be disgraced. I hired him. I interviewed him. I set his salary. And I said, okay, resume work on so and so day. That's your office.
Miss Otumba Shegun.
I hired Shegun Shewumi. I hired him.
All right.
Not Waziri Atiku Abubakar. Me. I hired him.
All right. Interesting. It's good that you have, set the record straight. Now, but for some people, they look at, Reno Omokri as somebody who maybe put together the team, the media team for the presidential candidate of the PDP at the time.
No. He had already his civil, almost, they are not civil servant, but when I say civil servant, people that come to work, and those ones were there. I had nothing to do with them.
Okay.
So the people that I hired are the people like his present special assistant on new media. I hired him, and then his official spokesman at that time, Shegun Shewumi, I hired him, and possibly one or two people. Even that gentleman right there was also working in the campaign. I hired him. So Waziri Atiku Abubakar is a very intelligent man. When he sees people, he can poach them. So he poached some of my people from me. So,
all right. Yeah. Okay, it's interesting. That's clear. But Daddy Freeze, I'm sorry. But a lot of people would say in the build-up to the general elections in 2023, you were supportive of a particular candidate and very critical of maybe other candidates.
Peter Obi.
Yeah, okay, Mr. Peter Obi. Mr. Peter Obi. And you were very vocal and supportive of your own candidates that you preferred at the time. But fast forward to after the elections, I don't know if I should use the term, you jumped ship, or you
cross capital.
Say anything you want to say. Yes. Don't be nice. Say everything you want to say.
I don't think you are a card-carrying member of any political party, so I don't want to use the term decamp. But it would appear like your support. You moved your support.
Loyalty.
You moved your support from Alhaji Atiku Abubakar to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Now, for the sake of having this conversation and having people understand where you're from, I would like for you to explain what was responsible or what influenced that decision.
Okay, this man right here is a pastor. He's a pastor with Christ Embassy, and he's a very honest person. I'm going to ask him to stand. Let your audience see him. Stand up. Let your audience see you. Come here. Go to the back. Go all the way. Go to the back. Now, this is an eyewitness. He's an eyewitness. I told this man when the campaign began in 2022, I said to him, now, I wish that, just say this so that the audience can hear you. I swear to say the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Say it.
Use her microphone.
Can you use my
Yes.
microphone?
Say it.
I swear to say the
I swear
truth.
to say the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
What did I tell you in 2022 about who was going to win the election?
You said you don't see PDP winning, that President Bola Tinubu is going to win.
Now, what did I tell you that even though I do not believe PDP is going to win, what did I tell you that I will do my best to do?
That you will do your best to see that you project PDP in the best way you can.
But what did I tell you that my heart was telling me was the best candidate? What did I tell you? Say it to them.
You said in your heart, the best candidate, you think it's Atiku Abubakar, but you think that the APC is going to win.
Okay. And so that's what happened. Everything that's happening now, I knew was going to happen. And I said, I will give my best. I will do everything, but I know it's going to be an exercise in futility. But because of the way and manner my parents brought me up to be conscientious, I said, I'm going to fight for this man. But I already knew he was not going to win. I already knew, because let me tell you something. I and Senator Ben More-Bruce were responsible for Waziri Atiku Abubakar picking Peter Obi as his running mate.
In 2019.
In 2019, we packaged Peter Obi. We do. In this year, I will be with Peter Obi, packaging him, saying he was the next best thing after sliced bread. I will go to London. The same thing. Peter Obi, when Peter Obi met Boris Johnson, it wasn't Peter Obi that went to Boris Johnson. I took him to Boris Johnson, myself and Senator Ben More-Bruce. He can't deny it because I'm a meticulous record keeper. If he wants to deny it, he will be disgraced because I will get a member of the British House of Lords, Lord Daniel Hannan, to confirm. Because that's the man that arranged it. He's my friend. I said, look, we want to see Boris Johnson and we are going to bring this man along. And that's how it happened. We were packaging this man. Why? I don't particularly like Peter Obi. The reason why I was doing that was because I was instructed by former President Jonathan that this is the man he wants. And I'm a loyal person. And because of my loyalty to former President Jonathan, don't forget, this is a man who wrote in his book that I am the most loyal person that was in his government. He came, he spent 10 days with me in California. 10 days. So, because I believe in loyalty. That's how my parents brought me up.
Sorry, Mr. Reno. Let's take it. Let's take it slow.
Step by step.
You said that former President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan told you that it is Peter Obi he wants.
Waziri Atiku Abubakar called me and said I should headhunt a vice presidential candidate for him. Without telling Waziri Atiku Abubakar, as he dropped the phone, the next person I called was President Jonathan. And President Jonathan told me it is Peter Obi. I said, sir, if I just tell this man Peter Obi, wouldn't it be rude? Because he said headhunt. He says, okay, Reno, you know how to do things. So what I did was I packaged everybody. I don't want to mention the names of some people, but one of the persons that I put is an international civil servant now. The other one is chairman of a bank. So there were 3 of them. All of them, except the international civil servants, were sending me their CV. This Peter Obi that you see was sending, Reno, have you gotten the CV? Check now, refresh. This Peter Obi, he cannot
build up to 2019
The
elections.
emails are there. If he denies it, I will disgrace him.
You told him to send you his CV.
No, he was sending me, I did not tell him, he was sending me CV unsolicited.
But this is somebody who was governor of Anambra State for 8 years.
Let him deny it now. I'm a meticulous record keeper, if not anything. Anyway, so I the way I did it, and you got to forgive me. This man who is a chairman of a bank, and he's also close to Peter Obi. I did not I did not pad you enough because I had an agenda to pad Peter Obi. So we padded Peter Obi and made it so obvious that the person that Waziri was going to choose was Peter Obi.
So you more or less schemed him into it.
Yes. And when it happened, I did not collect a dime from Peter Obi, not one kobo from Peter Obi. Senator Ben Bruce, who was not really, Senator Ben Bruce was more like my own advisor whispering into my ears because he was not plugged into President Jonathan telling me all these instructions. So we did not collect a dime from him. We just did it out of love for Nigeria. Now, when this man left the People's Democratic Party, he did not tell us. He did not consult us. He just left. And other than 6 months working in the bank after I left school, everything I've done in my life is just political consulting. Everything I've done in my life. And I told him privately, I said, look, with this thing that you are doing, you are making it certain that Bola Tinubu is going to win. Because if you look, politics is like mathematics. You go back and you look at all of the elections. PDP has always carried the Southeast. It's a traditional zone for the PDP. By you running, you are going to take that block vote from us. And what that means is that Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is going to win the election. And so it turned out exactly as I said it was going to turn out.
Sorry, sir, you keep mentioning that you package Peter Obi, right? But prior to that time, you mentioned something recently about him leaving a debt of 100 and something billion. Meanwhile, he has been here on this show and he has countered that particular.
Peter Obi.
I mean, he brought evidence.
Am I right? Peter Obi is a liar. And I'm going to just break it down for you. Peter Obi, don't believe Reno Omokri. Don't believe Peter Obi. Don't believe the Anambra State government. Believe the Debt Management Office. The Debt Management Office was set up by law to calculate the federal government's debt and the state's debt. So believe them. The Debt Management Office, as at the time he left office, Anambra State was owing $30 million and 3 billion naira. Now, where does the 127 billion come in? The 127 billion comes in. Peter Obi is a very manipulative person. And I've worked closely with him, so I know him. He has, I don't want to say it, he has some certain man sense. I'm just going to say this. Now, please allow me land.
Okay,
that debt came in because he knew he was going to, he knew he had a higher political ambition. So he wanted to be like he left a lot of money. So what he did is that he had given out several contracts, hired a number of people, did that those contracts and the people that he hired last minute, they were going to be due immediately his successor assumed office. So all of that money that he claimed he put, $150 million and 36 billion naira. By the time Willie Obanjo had taken office, there was something like 127 billion naira that became due. And so whatever money he left behind, it had been counteracted by that debt. And then the debt from the debt management office, both the local and national debt. Now, even going further, the money that he claimed that he left was not all in cash. Some of it was in so-called assets. But those assets had been overvalued. I'm going to give you a very good example. Interfact Breweries, he said that the value of the asset was about $12 billion. In truth, when it was evaluated, it had shrunk to about $5 billion because it was a loss-making investment. So these are facts. So if he brings, I don't know what he brought, but these are things that you can actually go and verify.
Reno,
yeah,
I want to put you on the spot.
Okay.
The 2023 elections.
Oh, by the way, this is Lucozade. I don't drink alcohol. It's just Lucozade. I haven't eaten anything, so I just needed some glucose boost.
Uh-huh. So, Reno, the 2023 elections. Obedience believe that Peter Obi won that election. I'm sure there's so many people listening to us right now. Even people in this room believe that Peter Obi won the election. While APC supporters believe that a vote for Peter Obi was actually a vote for TINUBU. Please throw some light on this.
Well, it makes for intellectual laziness. And if there are people here, I'm a very blunt person, you are intellectually lazy if you believe that Peter Obi won the election. Why do I say so? Because Peter Obi went to the PEPC, the Presidential Election Petition Court. And while there, he did not argue that he won the election. Go and read his petition. It's a public document. He did not argue. His pleas were that Bola Tinubu was not validly nominated because he had a conviction in the United States, and that the running mate to Bola Tinubu in the All Progressive Congress, Senator Kashim Shettima, was not validly nominated because of double nomination. And then said what he was calling for was another election. He did not say he won. So if the man did not say he won, how are you? Who here is believing that he won? It's just like what scripture says. It says that who shall say a thing and it shall happen when the Lord God has not said it? Peter Obi has not said he won in court. Yes, he can go to news stations and make that allusion. But when he went to court, in court, where you know what court is now, you say something, you have to prove it. This man, he was not validly nominated because of this. And that's basically, he went there like a crybaby. And what happened? The court, especially the Supreme Court, they deliberated because Waziri Atiku Abubakar's petition was powerful. It was potent. They spent, I think you saw the judgment. They spent I can't remember. I think it was something like almost 30 minutes reading the judgment. Then for Peter Obi said, as for this one, I think it was less. It was probably about 90 seconds or less that he just dismissed Peter Obi's own because there was nothing there. So please let us speak with facts, not with emotions. A lot of people. And they say one thing about black people, and we've got to shame races. They say if you want to hide anything from a black man, put it in writing. Go, you, by yourself, Eloka, Kinito, what he wrote in his petition. Read it yourself, and then stop saying that he won the election.
Reno,
So earlier,
just a follow-up question.
Ladies
here.
first. Ezine, please go.
Okay.
So earlier, husband material said.
Husband
that-
material.
I'm sorry. Chukudi.
Chukudi, that's his name. Okay.
So he said that you changed your support to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and you called somebody to confirm that you already knew that he was going to win, but then you knew a better candidate, but you knew he was going to win. So you changed your support to the present president of this country. Did you change your support for him because he's a good person, or because it's business, it's my job, I knew he was going to win and let me support the winning team? Or you changed your support because I think he's a good person? Or
I
know
only
he's a
answered that question yesterday on Channels Television. I changed my support. No, I did not change my support. I supported Nigeria. You got to understand something. What I'm doing is for Nigeria. Look, There is no difference between Waziri Atiku Abubakar and Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and I can prove it. Waziri Atiku Abubakar said he was going to do 4 cardinal things. Bola Tinubu said he was going to do 4 cardinal things. Go back, study their campaign manifesto. I helped write the PDP campaign manifesto, so I know it by heart. We said we're going to do 4 things. 1, we're going to remove fuel subsidy. 2, we're going to float the naira. 3, we're going to devolve power from the federal government to the lower levels. And then 4, we're going to give student loans. What has Bola Tinubu done? Exactly what we said we were going to do. And the reason is because we all come from the same political roots, Social Democratic Party. All of us, Bola Tinubu, Waziri Atiku Abubakar, and me, myself, Reno Omokri, we were all SDP people. And that is, there is no, this APC is not a party. Don't forget how APC came about. APC is a conglomerate. So it's not an ideologically driven party. The ideologically driven party were the legacy parties. So you had that time what they call, it was ACN, Action Congress of Nigeria. That was the ideological party. Then you had CPC, Congress for Progressive Change. That was the ideological party. Then you had NPDP, New PDP. Those were the this, you know what they call coalition? Like if in England, if they have an election and then no party wins enough seats, then they have a coalition. APC is a coalition. So you don't want to look for ideology in APC. You're not going to find it. Go to the legacy party. If you look at the manifesto of ACN and you look at the manifesto of PDP, you cannot distinguish between the two of them.
But if you say that you support Nigeria, that you don't support the president, you support Nigeria.
No, I support Nigeria, and by supporting Nigeria, obviously, is supporting the president. But the main aim was not to support the president, was to support Nigeria.
Okay. Now that you support Nigeria by supporting the president, do you think, I'm going to ask again, do you think that the president is doing good for Nigeria?
Of course.
Seeing as it is not reflective in
that
what the
is
people
an
think.
Opinion. That is not fact.
But the opinion of the people, there are a lot of people.
But that is opinion of the people. 1 million opinion cannot be up to one fact. And I'm going to give you facts. When President Bola Ahmed Tinubu took office, Nigeria was owing $108 billion. Today, if I'm lying, I pay you $1 million. Nigeria is owing $94 billion. So we've paid off $14 billion. Our debt has gone lower. And it's not just the federal government. The states, their debts have reduced. Most states, not all states, I think about 78% of the states, their debts have reduced. Why? Because by removing fuel subsidy, there is now more funds to be shared in the federation account. And so people now, the states, have you ever heard, are you now hearing of states not paying salaries anymore? They are paying salaries. Why? Because Bola Tinubu has increased their allocation by 200%, some by 300%. Some by 300%, but at least by 200, by double. And it's not just that. A lot of people like Peter Obi, very unintelligently, he was telling Nigerians that when dollar was 216 naira, you protested, but now that is 1,500 naira, you're not protesting. That Peter Obi shows that he is a trader, not a leader. Dollar was never 216 naira. It was never 155 naira. It was never 145 naira. That is not what the price was. It was subsidized. Go back and fact check me. That was why it was at that price. The federal government was spending $1.5 billion every month to subsidize the naira at that particular level. And the reason why they were doing that was not for economic reasons. It was for political reasons. Because each president did not want to be seen as having a naira that was so high. Then they would say, okay, because Nigerians don't understand economics. They just understand eba, rice, and salt. They were not doing it for economic reasons. They were doing it for political reasons. Bola Tinubu was brave enough to say, I don't care what people say about me. This is wrong. Because don't forget, the money that we're using to subsidize the naira was not money that we had. We were borrowing it. That's why, what's his name? Emefiele is in jail today. Because they borrowed 38 trillion naira without informing the National Assembly. And what were they using that money to do? To subsidize the naira. And let me tell you, do you know what Nigerians were using that subsidized dollar to do? If I tell you, $200 million every year our women were using to import hair. $75 million every year, French champagne. Go and check the records. $25 million every year, Scotch whiskey. Obi Kubana and all those people. That is what we are using the money for. If we are using the money, for transfer of technology, heavy equipment for Innoson, for Nord to build vehicles, okay, then it can make sense to do it. But we were frittering away this money. Bola Tinubu took the right decisions. Look, Nigeria is not an oil-rich country. We are an oil-poor country. We are an oil-poor country. Ghana, in terms of per capita wealth from oil, Ghana is wealthier than us. Listen to this now. Ghana has 200,000 barrels per day. What is our population? Divide their population by the barrels that they give. That means that there is more. It's going to give you about $200 for each citizen. When you divide Nigeria's population by our barrels per day, we get $150 per citizen. That is poverty. Look, Qatar, a tiny nation that their population is not up to a Kenya local government. They make $70 billion from oil and gas. How much do we make? We make 36 billion. And then you want to Saudi Arabia, with a population about their population is probably 35 million, so which is just going to be about maybe 15% of ours. They make about $450 billion every year. We make 36 billion. Angola is more oil rich than us. In terms of, if you look at the nations that have mineral resources, because Nigerians, entitlement mentality. Check, Nigeria is not in the top 10. Even in Africa, we're not in the top 5. Congo, DRC, they have more nutrients, more mineral resources than we have. So stop saying that's opinion. People like you are feeding the people wrong opinion. Nigeria is not living at our means. We are living beyond our means. That's why that had to go.
But Mr. Reno,
sorry, I was about to say something. Reno, I want us to go back to the elections because there are many things I'd like you to clarify. You know, the question I asked was...
I can be quite vehement because I believe what I say.
It's okay. I wanted to talk about... the question I asked first was a vote for P2B was a vote for Tinubu according to APC, while the Labour Party believed that P2B won. Hypothetically, if P2B had not left the PDP, would the PDP have won?
The PDP would have won the election.
Now, if P2B goes back and runs under Waziri Atiku Abubakar, does the PDP stand a chance?
Well, listen, Bola Ahmed Tinubu is not the kind of politician that you can defeat as an incumbent because he is so result-oriented. He's just so result-oriented. And so by the time you begin to see results, look, PDP governors have gathered and said that let the man continue. Am I lying? PDP governors, not APC governors, PDP governors, they are going to visit the president. Okay, this man, Peter Obi, who you talked about, gave an interview and was saying, fuel subsidy, I would not have, that which was a lie. I would have done it differently. I would not have done it the way the president did. And I released a video where Peter Obi was saying that I will remove fuel subsidy immediately. If you have not seen that video, go on my X timeline, go on my Facebook, you will see it there. So what did Tinubu do? On day one, he removed fuel subsidy. Is that not what Peter Obi said he was going to do? But that's not what I'm trying to say. After Peter Obi said that same day, the only Labour Party governor, Alex Oti, came out and countered him and said Bola Tinubu did the right thing in removing fuel subsidy, and not just that he did it in the right way. So you see, look, you could only have defeated candidate Bola Ahmed Tinubu when he was out of office. But a man like that, look, let me finish, please. Don't interject, please. A man like that is a political genius, a political genius. The only other Nigerian that has been like that is the late Shehu Musa Yaradua, not Umaru Musa, the president. No, Shehu Musa, the one that, and guess what? They were together in SDP.
My question is a break from this and a continuity as well. You bitterly fought against President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and at certain points you even used some, can I say, derogatory words on him. How did you move from that to where you are now?
But I mean, it's so that's why I said Nigerians are very emotional, and because we're very emotional, that's why it was easy for us to be colonized. But when our people, when we were colonized, Nigeria was colonized. I mean, Shakiri, my people were not colonized. We fought the British. We fought them. We fought the British. They sent in gunboats. We gathered money. We bought boats from the Portuguese. We fought the British. We defeated them in the creeks. What happened? They were forced to sign a treaty with us. The first three governors of the Benin River were Shakiris. The first 3 governors until, eventually Nigeria now became a country. And how were we able to do it? Because as a people, we are so small in number and we cannot afford to be emotional. So because of that, we have to be strategic. Because if you are not strategic, in the terms of ratio, the people that are surrounding us probably is ratio of 20-1. We will be annihilated. So we have to use Ogbon, what they call Ogbon. And look, if you're looking at it, when this whole thing started, they were saying that Bola Tinubu did not go to Chicago State University, right? What did I do? I did not join them. I said I'm going to disgrace Bola Tinubu. So I went to Chicago State University myself. I went there, September 19, 2022. I remember. When I got there, they called me, they gave me evidence. First of all, they gave me physical evidence, photographic evidence, and then they also gave me eyewitness evidence. And then I came out and I said, no, leave this man. He attended Chicago State University. I called Waziri. I said he attended Chicago State University. I called all our people. Some people were saying, why is he has collected money from TINUBU? I said, this was September 19, 2022. September, October, November, I went with this man that is here to Peru. Because I do mountain climb. So there's a mountain in Peru called Machu Picchu. So I was climbing that. And then Arise said they were going to interview me. And when I was being interviewed on Arise, I believe that, there must have been some kind of relationship between Peter Obi and Rufai Oseni. And Rufai Oseni was trying to
Can you confirm this or this is just speculation?
No, I can confirm it. When I said, and I'm looking at the camera.
What kind of relationship?
When I asked Peter Obi if he gave money to Rufai Oseni, especially when Rufai Oseni's father died, go and look at the statement that Peter Obi gave, because I know him. I used to write for him, so I know how manipulative he is. He dodged that. What he was saying, I don't even know Rufai's village. I don't even know. No. Go and read that statement. He did not say, I did not give him money. So people...
So you believe there was some cash exchange?
Look, let me just put it this way. If Peter Obi did not give Rufai Oseni money, let him come out and say, I have never given Rufai Oseni money. But anyway, let me go back to what I'm saying. Rufai Oseni was trying to breathe it down my neck that Bola Tinubu did not go to Chicago. I said, no, listen, and watch that interview. Go and watch it. I said, no, it is in my own political best interest to say that Bola Tinubu did not attend Chicago State University. But I'm not going to sit here and lie against a man and say that he did not attend a school that I know for a fact that he attended. That's what I said. You know what? I read law up to master's degree level in England. So we know how to cram. What I just said right now is quotation, word for word what I said on Arise. And so at that time, I kept on insisting that, okay, this man is, and I don't want to use the word, something baron. I kept on insisting that. Because I said, okay, I'm not going to say that he didn't go to Chicago State University because I verified that he went. And then guess what happened? When the case went to the Supreme Court said, no, this man was not convicted on anything at all. Rather, it was funds in those accounts that were convicted. Because in America, you can convict non-human persons. And the reason why those funds were convicted were because of some people, not because of him. And from that day, after the Supreme Court gave that judgment, I stopped using that word on him because I am a fact-based person. Don't forget, when the facts showed that this man attended Chicago State University, I was more proving that he did than even APC people because I follow facts. When the Supreme Court ruled on the other one, I came out and said, look, I'm sorry. This man, it has been cleared. So I stopped using that term. So that's what it is. At the time when I said those things, everything I said, I believed it. When facts came out to show that what I believed was not right, then I changed. And if you cannot change your mind in face of the facts, then obviously you're an emotional person. You're not a strategic person. I'm a sentient being. I think and I follow the facts.
All right. So, you have spoken about the president removing subsidy and more allocation for the states. But it's also important to point out that repeatedly the president has said that sacrifices must be made. And it would appear like on the part of the citizens, people have had to adjust their life and their lifestyle. But people still claim that those who hold political office live like they have not made any adjustments. You have convoy, you have ostentatious living, you have, Esther codes and the rest. Now, what do you say to this claim that on the one hand, you want the citizens to tighten their seatbelt because you are making sacrifices and, these are necessary for our development. On the other hand, they look at political office holders and it appears like those ones are still balling and enjoying themselves.
You see, Nigerians are very emotional people and people know that Nigerians are emotional. People like Peter Obi, people like some of these activists, they know that Nigerians are emotional. On the issue of convoy, that can work for governors. But Nigerians don't face their governors. Everybody wants to face the president. The last president or head of state that tried to reduce his convoy and just go like that, what happened to him? He was killed on February 13, 1976. Nigeria is a fairly brutal country. You can cut corners with food budget, travel budget, but except you want to die, you don't cut corners in convoy. You have to have the right color, because this is a country, don't forget, the very first leader of Nigeria was killed. The second leader of Nigeria was killed. The third leader of Nigeria was violently removed. The fourth leader of Nigeria was killed. Olusegun Obasanjo was the first person to ever govern Nigeria and have a natural tenure. Olusegun Obasanjo. And what happened? His immediate predecessor, what happened? He had a small convoy. They killed him. When he became president, when he became head of state, he said, look, we are going to, he called it, he said, there was a word he used. Hold on, I want to use the exact word. Low profile. He did low profile on every other thing except his convoy, because he did not want to buy like his predecessor.
But is that not an indictment on the president that he is afraid of his own people, that he will surround himself with security and the likes? And we spend so much on ensuring that there's security in the country, yet your convoy is longer than, or almost as long as, and then you say that you are dealing with insecurity, or you have solved the problem of insecurity, but yet you are afraid that somebody might buy you.
But that is I'm even I have to say that is a very silly thing to say. And the reason why it is silly and unintelligent to say that, and please don't, I'm very, very
brutal. It's okay.
The reason why it is silly and unintelligent to say that is because a president is not killed by citizens. A president historically in this country is killed by the military. So if the military have convoys, if the military have heavy guns, if the military have all of that, are you as a president, are you now going to wake up every day and then a soothsayer will now read all the minds of about 360,000 military men and tell you that, okay, they are all loyal? You cannot, there's no way. So you've got to take adequate protection. You got to have, it is foolishness for you not to protect yourself. He's not protecting himself from the citizens. He's protecting himself from history. He knows who killed Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa. Was it Nigerian citizens or the military? It was killed by Emmanuel Ifeajuna. Who killed Ironsi? Was it Nigerian citizens? No, he was killed by mutineering soldiers at Ibadan. Even the other soldiers that were trying to protect him, a man called Colonel Adekunle Fajiri was saying that no, they told him, Colonel Adekunle Fajiri, look, we will make you head of state. The man said, no, you cannot, he's my guest, you cannot take me. Say, hey, you don't want to be head of state. They took him, they tied him. Now, the man, Gowon, when Gowon was going to Kampala, Uganda, do you know what Gowon said? Because Gowon, he was sensing that something might happen. He called, that time I think it was just a colonel. He called a Colonel Joseph Garba. He said, look, if anything happens to me, it's on your conscience. And then he went. And when he went, they told him not to come back. Murtala Mohammed had become a head of state. And then Murtala Mohammed was there. What happened? He listened to people like you. Okay, I'm going to be nice. And then he was just driving by himself. And then his ADC. And then I think his driver. There were four of them in the car. And then what happened? At Ikoyi, some people, they dressed as if they were beggars. They came. They were soldiers led by Lieutenant Colonel Bukasuka Dinka and fired into the car. When they fired into the car, they went away. Murtala Mohammed was not even dead. He was not dead. And then his ADC made a noise. And somebody said, they never die, oh. And then they came back and finished the job. And you are now saying that do you want President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to be killed? No, but
even in this your example now, aside from Abubakar Tafawa Balewa, the other persons that you have cited were military heads of states. So are you saying that the president is protecting himself against his own military, and is the president and commander-in-chief of the armed forces?
The president is not protecting himself against his own military. He's protecting himself against people that might be disloyal in the military because of our history. The best predictor of future events is past events. So please, let us be factual here. Don't come with emotions. In the past, this has happened not once, not twice, not thrice, not 4 times, not 5 times. Look, do you know why, what's his name, General Babangida just said, okay, I'm going to step aside? There were people telling him openly, we are going to kill you. Go back and read his testimony. And I said, okay, but I'm going to step aside. So you have to understand that this is a country that is not a natural country. It was cobbled together by the British. It's cobbled together. There are people in this country that want a separate country. There are people in this country that want a Sharia country. There are people in this country that want a progressive country. There are people in this country that want something else. As a president, you are trying to manage all these people. And the law, the Federal Character Commission law is that when you're recruiting into the Nigerian army, you must take people from every state. Look, when we were in government, President Jonathan said something. He said, members of Boko Haram are in the military. In the military, what are you going to do? Are you going to drive them away? That's why I said something. I don't know if people will remember. I said, look, I was trying to appeal to. I said, look, if anybody is in the military and he is sympathetic to Boko Haram, or maybe you're not in the military and in the civil service, I said, look at what happened in Ireland. They had the Irish Republican Army. And then they spent 100 years fighting. They did not get anywhere. But then they formed a party. They called it Sinn Féin. And when they formed the party, within 7 years or 8 years, or I think it was between 7 and 10 years, they were the government of Ireland. So I said, stop doing Boko Haram. Go and form a political party. Convince people that, look, if you look at where all the countries where you have Islamic governments, they are more honest, there's less corruption. Maybe people will vote for you. You win one local government in Borno, you win governorship in Yobe, then that is a better way to go than fighting. So you have to understand, you don't be emotional. Don't sit down there and just be emotional. There are people here that will want to kill the president. We don't know who they are going to be. So you have to take measures to protect yourself.
Let me just point out that the example of the convoy was not essentially about whether anybody would kill the president or not. I was just talking about, the cost of governance and
listen, that is 6.5 dozen. The reason why the president has a convoy like that is because of past events. The president, in other things whereby he is less vulnerable, he has taken action. What happened? He said he's not going to travel abroad with more than 5 people, or is it 9 people for him and then 5 for the vice president? I can't remember the exact figures, but he's cut it down. Before, it used to be very large. Before, you used to read about a Nigerian president going about with 400 people. This man cut it down, said 9. And if anybody tries it, he's going to sack the person. He said his ministers can only travel with 2 people. So those are areas that, you can cut it without being vulnerable. If you look at the travel budget of the president, you compare it to General Buhari's government, you compare it to even our government, it has reduced. People cite the residence of the vice president. They say it costs a lot of money. It's because, like I said, Nigerians don't read. We don't read. A lot of us, we are just very emotional people. I know people who are empty. Go back. It was not this government or even the government of General Buhari that started that. It was started by a PDP government. And this man has a first class in accounting. What he was saying, and it makes sense. How can you spend 95% on the project, then you now want to abandon 5% because you want to save money? It doesn't make sense.
So I want you to speak to the issue of, apart from the president, we understand that the president needs long convoy that he has, but when governors...
No, governors don't need it.
Okay.
Governors don't need it.
Yes, I want you to speak to this.
Speak to the issue of
an ex-governor having a very long convoy. He is not presently a governor. Mm-hmm. He has a long convoy.
That is wrong. But the reason why that is allowed to happen is that the people of that state, their eye is not on their governor. Their eye is on Bola Tinubu. That's why it's allowed to happen. So they should go. I'll give you an example. I was reading Professor of Law. And please, you can fact check me at the University of Nigeria, a professor of law. She was complaining that the Tinubu government is not good because she doesn't have water. I said, look at this woman. Go and read the constitution. It is your state that is meant to provide you with water. But Nigerians are not like that. A professor thinking like a market woman. So that's how Nigeria is. We are not going to... Look, this man has tried. Nigeria now, we now have a trade surplus. We were having trade deficit. Do you know what a trade surplus is? That means that we are now exporting more than we are importing. 14.1 billion trade surplus. People should be sitting down and be clapping for this man. Patewo for the man. When have we ever had a 14.1 billion trade surplus? When?
Reno, you speak about the Fitch, Moody.
Allow this your Gen X, Gen Z.
Gen Z,
Ask
Gen Z.
question
Because
now.
I don't want you to lose your train of thought.
Okay.
The Fitch, Moody, and Standard & Poor's improving Nigeria's ratings. You speak a lot about that. How does this affect Nigeria from a political sense and Nigerians as a collective? And how does this foreign portfolio and borrowings affect Nigeria till today? You said something about Peter Obi. You said he gave out some contracts and left some money in the bank, and just as he was, Obaino was coming in.
He did not leave some money in the bank. He left some money in a bank in which he had 10% shares.
Okay.
The money was equivalent to about $20 million. As at that year, when he left, 2014, the S&P 500 was delivering 23%. So that means if you had, because that's what banks do typically, they will invest that money in the S&P 500. So 20%, 23% of $20 million would have been about $5 billion. Out of that $5 billion, 10%, because he had 10% shares in that bank, will come to his own pocket. If he had tried that in any other country, he will be in prison today. But because it's Nigeria, if Bola Ahmed Tinubu had done that in Lagos, you, Daddy Freeze, you, what did they call him? Whose husband did they call him?
Husband material.
You, husband material. You will go to the streets. You will do, but because it is Peter Obi, you people allow it. Look, I can give you the account number. I can give you the account number in the bank.
You know what I'm trying to say is...
No, but let me answer the question first about
okay.
Moody's. How does the Moody's and the Fitch ratings affect Nigeria? Look, have you ever wondered why tickets to Nigeria for about 5.5 hours are more expensive than tickets maybe from Ethiopia to England for about 7-8 hours? Have you ever wondered why? It's because every commercial airliner coming to Nigeria, they've got to do an insurance. That insurance that they're going to do, and several, it's not just them, like people who are shipping things to Nigeria, they've got to do that insurance. Banks in Nigeria, if they want to take loans from other country, or if you want to go through the Bank for International Settlements in Basel in Switzerland, there's something that you call a credit score. The credit score that international financial corporations are going to use is going to be the Moody's ratings, the Fitch ratings, and then the Standard & Poor's ratings. So when you have a low rating, you're going to be paying more for insurance premium. You're going to be paying more for loans emanating outside of Nigeria. You're going to be paying more for... But when you have a high credit score, a high rating, it's going to reduce. That's why people now, like Aliko Dangote, you saw me with Dr. Mike Adenuga. Dr. Mike Adenuga, in starting Globalcom, he got his the loan from BNP Paribas in France. These people, it's going to be easier for them to secure financing in Nigeria and out of Nigeria. And a lot of people don't realize that the only way a country is going to grow economically is when these captains of industry in the private sector, they do well, then they start to employ people. They call it trickle-down economics. Trickle-down economics. Look, recently, there was a spat between President Donald Trump and Elon Musk. Yeah. Elon Musk has apologized. He apologized. I think he did that yesterday. Now, if you look at it, this man, in one day, 150 billion was washed away from his net worth. 150 billion. Now, when 150 billion is washed away from his net worth, he can survive, right? He can still keep on eating. What's going to happen to his work, his staff? What's going to happen to them? He's going to reduce. He's going to reduce, right?
So it's going to trickle down.
So it's going to reduce. So those people at the bottom, they're going to feel it. That's the same thing here. The president is doing these things like, reducing our debt rate, reducing our inflation rate, our corruption perception index has improved. Our global terrorism index has improved. It now makes it easier for people like Aliko Dangote, Abdul Samad Rabiu, Dr. Mike Adenuga, Tony Elubelu to get, money, capital, because that's how you build an economy.
You know what I was trying to ask? I only cited the Peter Obi incident that you raised as an example for him leaving money in a bank, whatever bank it was. He left the money, but as soon as...
Say it. He left money in his own bank. I am sitting down here, I spoke in my language, Shakiri. If I'm lying, let him take me to court. He put money in his own bank.
What I want us to focus on is, so by the time Obiano came in, the money was already budgeted for. It just looked like it was money. It's like I have 10 million naira in my account.
Obiano said it himself.
But my children's school fees, which is due next month, is 10 million naira. So I want us to look at this current government. We've paid off a loan. Has that stopped us from borrowing money?
Look, only a stupid government does not borrow. Only a stupid government does not borrow. Because if you look at loans now, let me give you an example. You have banks like the African Development Bank. You have banks like the World Bank, the IMF, which is not really a bank, it's kind of like a financial institution. You have other kinds of banks, in Europe that Nigeria is a member of, and also in Asia. Now, I'm going to give you an example. If you have the interest rate in the United States, for example, at about 5.7 right now, 5.7, right? And then these development banks are giving you a loan at 0.6. You will be stupid not to take that loan. You're going to be stupid not to take that loan. I mean, you are not going, first and foremost, that loan, you are getting it at a rate lower than the rate of inflation. That's why governments borrow, because it makes better sense for you to take those kinds of money and then use them for infrastructure. And even your Peter Obi has said it, that there is nothing wrong with government borrowing. So in the past, General Muhammadu Buhari was borrowing to pay subsidy. Now, Bola Tinubu is not borrowing to pay subsidy. He's borrowing to build Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway, to build Ileya-Sokoto-Badagry Coastal Highway, they call it Coastal Expressway, to build Kanu-Abuja Road. So, I mean, those are the kinds of things that money should be used for.
Talking about the Coastal Highway, it's one of the highlights of your visit here. And there seems to be a bit of chronological inconsistency with the
30 kilometer.
There was. So I want you to throw some light on it.
No. That is factually, that's a fallacious statement. There no longer is. I didn't plan, I'm not meant to be here. I did not plan to be here at all. Some persons were misinforming Nigerians, and I was in my house in California. Well, I was planning because I was trying to celebrate my daughter's 20th birthday. My daughter is at UC Berkeley. I'm so proud of her. She got into UC Berkeley at the age of 17.
Wow.
The fourth best university in the whole world, and she got in on merit. And then people were saying all of these lies and all of these things. What happened? I said, okay, I bought a ticket. I came immediately to Nigeria.
You bought your own ticket?
I bought a ticket, first class ticket, British Airways.
Your own money?
Yes, I said, because the last, I don't want to go and meet someone like Natasha in business class or economy, and they will not see that I sexually assaulted them. They lie against me. So I bought a first class ticket so that I'm going to be either alone or I won't have any neighbor. I've never met this woman. She woke up one day and said I sexually assaulted her. So I have to protect myself. I bought a first class ticket and I came. From the airport, I went to the hotel, took a shower, and then I arranged for a drone, to buy a drone. I arranged for people, and then I went there. I said, TVC, some other, the nation, some other. I said, no, I don't want you people. Go. You people are Bola Tinubu people. Don't come. So Arise, I said, hey, you can come because everybody knows you people. You don't like Bola Tinubu. Premium Times, I said, come. Vanguard, I said, Obi Paper, come. Which leadership? Help me. Which other?
No Sahara reporters.
I said everybody can come. Sahara reporters did not apply. I said even members of the public can come. Do you know there were members of the public there? I paid for vehicles with my own money. How many vehicles did we go with? 5 vehicles. I paid for them. I paid for security, plain code security. I said, come. You people said I was lying. Okay, we went. We drove. The mileage read 20 kilometers, but the milestone read 19.5. So I said, no, even though the mileage is saying 20 kilometers, let us even go with this one that says 19.5. And I said, now, fly the drone. They flew the drone. When they flew the drone, at the end of the day, they found that it was over 30 kilometers over. And Arise TV yesterday, they admitted it that, well, I have proven that it was over 30 kilometers. Premium Times, they wrote it that I have proven that it's over 30 kilometers. Vanguard, please stop that. There is no more controversy. There was a controversy. There is no controversy. I mean, that is the only reason why I came. If anybody has given me money to come to Nigeria to prove this thing, speak now or forever remain silent.
Okay. Sorry, that really got to me. Okay, so I want to you mentioned something earlier, right? You are more
Let me also praise you. This is your natural hair, right?
Both mixture.
I withdraw the praise. I withdraw the praise. Sorry. I withdraw the praise.
It's mixture, both of it, right there. Okay. So you are more of a fact-driven person, less of emotionally driven person, right? Okay, so I just want to ask this question now, like every Nigerian that doesn't know much about politics, the structure or anything that goes on. The first question I want to ask you is, do you think our president, the current president, is physically capable of handling this position he is in right now? Nothing like, our president is traveling out of the country every 2 seconds to go for one health treatment or not. And secondly, do you think, now every other person will just be there like, with everything you've mentioned, the president has done this, the president has done that. They've not really seen it like, the result like that, like it hasn't really stimulated the economy the way
That's an opinion. That is not fact.
Okay, cool. That one too is there. That's how every Nigerian, like most Nigerians are thinking right now. Because they would look at somebody like the president of Burkina Faso presently right now. That's Ibrahim Traore. They'll be like, when did they come? They are seeing some changes.
That is not true.
No, I'm letting you know how they might be thinking right now.
Yeah.
That, when did they come? He's a young guy.
You know what? Let me just quickly address that because the question is, Burkina Faso is in a worse situation today than it was before Traore came into power. Almost all of the things that you're seeing about Traore is being fed by a Russian propaganda outfit. It's all fake news. I'll give you an example. They put that he bought 500 buses and made them free. It was all lies. And I proved it. The picture that they used were actually 200 buses that was bought by the democratically elected president that they overthrew. He did not buy any bus. They said that he had built houses, free houses for Burkina Faso citizens. Those houses were actually from Algeria, from a place called Tizu, Tyzou. It was not in Burkina Faso. They said he had paid off all the debt of Burkina Faso. Big lie. He took $317 million loan from the IMF. Look, I'm giving you figures from the IMF. They said that taxes have been abolished. I called a journalist who is in hiding in Burkina Faso and says it's a lie. No taxes have been abolished. It's all lies. All those videos that you watch of him speaking, you know what? I don't know why they say that. All those are AI videos. The man cannot speak English. He only speaks French. And those things are not even a translation of what he says in French. It's all propaganda. And after I said that, other people now said to investigate. Daily Mail of the UK, they came out and they busted a lot of other things that I did not even know. It's all lies. And you talked about the physical fitness of the president. The first time I met the president was October 1st, 2024. And the president, had invited me. And this man stood for 4 hours and 15 minutes straight. You, in your life, have you stood for 4 hours and 15 minutes?
So
when was the last time you did it?
I mean, when I was protesting in 2020.
Since 2020 to from now, when have you stood for that long?
At the airport, I think.
You think?
Yeah.
On a single day, you stood up.
I mean, movements.
Yeah, there was movement. So a man who can stand like that how can you say he's not physically fit?
For 4 hours.
4 hours and 15 minutes. He was, here's the thing. Look, everybody can get sick. I am 51 years old. I could, 4 years ago, because I used to live I lived exclusively in California. I was made the director of a British company and I accepted it, but I did not know because they didn't tell me. And, I didn't know that once you accept that position, you have to spend 6 months of your time in England. You have to spend 6 months. And I didn't know. So I had to get a house in the United Kingdom. And when I got there, I could no longer bend. I developed arthritis because of their weather. I could no longer bend. And this what happened when I was 46. Happened when I was 46. I could not bend. What happened, I saw my doctor. My doctor told me, look, I should travel to either Israel and swim in the Dead Sea or to Tobago and swim. So some of you saw my videos. I went to Tobago and I swam. And I came out of the water, and it was like that Bible, when they told Naaman to go and dip himself. I said to bend down, and I'm 51 now. I can demonstrate for you. I can do frog jump from here to your entrance. So, and this happened when I was 46. So anybody can experience health issues. Anybody.
So what happened to our president was health
let me
issues.
finish. The most, in terms of institutions that make America great, the greatest president in America is not Abraham Lincoln or JFK. In terms of institutions that make America great, it's actually FDR, Franklin Delano Roosevelt. And Roosevelt governed America for 12 years on a wheelchair.
During wartime.
During wartime and before and after wartime, because the war was just 4.5 years. 12 years. He was the commander-in-chief. So please, let's stick with facts. You had another question?
All right. Okay, so let's talk about the National Assembly.
Yeah.
Really very important because it's an important organ of government, and the legislature play a very critical role in nation building and national development. But it would appear like we have seen a pattern. For some people, they look at the assembly under the leadership of Ahmed Lawan, and how he said they would work with former President Muhammadu Buhari to achieve everything and anything. And Nigerians look at 8 years of the former president's leadership, and not too many people, including even APC supporters, are really proud of the administration. Now, we have seen the National Assembly under Senator Godswill Akpabio, and some people have come out to say that it would appear like that separation of powers and check and balance, they are not checking anything, there's no balance. They are just doing, on your mandate, we shall stand. Anything you do, we are with you. It would appear like the National Assembly is in bed with the executive arm of government. And those who are supposed to represent the interests of Nigerians do not represent their interests. From your observation, especially since you were special assistant under President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, and you saw the National Assembly at the time, somewhat very confrontational. There was a time they even jumped the fence of the National Assembly to go into the floor of the National Assembly. What do you say about the current National Assembly?
The current National Assembly under President Godswill Akpabio is probably one of the best, if not the best, that we've had in Nigeria. You see, a lot of Nigerians, because we are very emotional people, we like drama. We like drama. That's why you can have a show like Big Brother that has been terminated in even the countries where they started it, but in Nigeria, we are still doing it because we like drama. And so we think that drama is progress in Nigeria. A parliament is there to check the executives when there is need to check them. They are not just there to be fighting them for the sake of fighting them. And this parliament, what happened? The president has brought ministers and they say, okay, we don't like this one, we don't like this one, go. The president has brought other appointees and they said, we don't like this one, we don't like this one, go. Why haven't Nigerians now spoken about that? They've done that, this assembly. But they are not going to be fighting. They're not going to be fighting for the sake of fighting. There's got to be a reason to fight. So, for example, now, if you have a lawyer, a good lawyer will tell you, look, make peace with your opponent. If it's possible, make peace out of court settlement. This Natasha, she paid, not she directly, her husband, or then he was her boyfriend. They later got married. They paid me money. She denied it. The money was paid. This man has the evidence, and we can produce a bank manager to testify in court. They paid me money, not small money, big money. Because they falsely accused me. She falsely accused me, and after that, I was going to. I called my lawyer, Michael Zekome. I was going to go to court. They paid me money out of court settlement because I thought it was a one-off. I didn't know she was going to. I didn't know another accusation was going to come, and I used the money to travel because I like to travel. I think at that time, I used the money to travel to, oh God, where did I travel to that time? It was a Mediterranean island, Malta. I went to Malta.
Talking about Natasha.
I went to Malta. So the thing there is this, is that you do not fight for the sake of fighting. As a lawyer, as a lawmaker. But when there is need, it's just like me now. Look, only mad people fight because they like fighting. People fight for interests. When your interests are being met, there is no reason to fight. You asked me a question.
Natasha and Akpabio, what is your honest to God? I know you to be a man of God because we've had several interactions on and offline regarding Christianity, scripture, and all that. As a man of God, which I believe you to be, what is your honest to God take on the Natasha Akpabio situation?
Honestly speaking, it's impossible to say. I don't know. And anybody that tells you that they know will be lying. I don't believe her because she lied against me. The same scenario. She lied against me. I've never met her before. And I tell you why I travel first class all the time. The time I came to see, not when I came to see President Tinubu, but when I came to see Malam Nuhu Badu, I think that was September of 2023. Was it September 2023? Yeah, I flew first class, British Airways. She was in business class. And because first class, they seclude you. You're just like, in fact, you're just in a hotel, on British Airways. And then it was only when I came out, and then I remember when I saw her, what did I do? I called you, Daddy Freeze, remember? I called you, I said, I saw Natasha, the girl, fine. Remember I told you, I said, I was seeing her for the first time, she is fine. But my wife is...
Fine, according to you.
Yes. I believe you. No, the photos are there. My wife is a beauty queen. I am not ashamed of it. I love my wife.
Yes. So, but you don't think, you don't think it is from her claim, it would appear like, they are trying to abuse power and, make her feel less important or esteemed.
But if you look at the timelines, the time when she said that this man allegedly assaulted her with her husband standing a few feet behind her, afterwards she had traveled with the man. She had eulogized the man on X. You can go and read it. She had eulogized the man on X. She had be shown with the man, talking suggestively. I don't know how to do it. I wish that I knew how to do it. Maybe Bobrisky. I mean, he could have done it. But the thing there is that there had been. If you look at all of that, you can say there's a circumstantial evidence to show that it is unlikely that Akpabio sexually assaulted her. Because if somebody sexually assaults you, you will not begin to hail the person on X, travel with the person not once, not twice. But the truth is that I don't know. Nobody really knows.
All right.
I want you to also speak to the issue of one-party system. Because everyone, or most people, let me not say everyone, are thinking that with the way things are going, the APC is trying to turn this country into a one-party system. And some others also think that APC is trying to breed corruption, because if you siphon funds, or if you're a corrupt leader and you feel like they are going to, you're going to face the rest of the law at the end, you just switch and all your sins will be forgiven.
Ezine, right here, look at the camera. Name one person that has joined APC and EFCC stopped prosecuting them. Tell Nigerians. Look at the camera and tell Nigerians. Name one person. Name. Look at the camera and name the person.
What's the name
My
of
sister,
this,
let me help
what's the
you.
name of this
Maybe not stop prosecuting them, but maybe soft pedal.
Okay, name the person. Look at the camera, name the person.
Chukud.
I don't want to say.
Allegedly.
I don't want case we go past my own.
What about Yahaya Bello?
Yahaya Bello, that EFCC went and then they surrendered his house. The man accordingly jumped fence. That is the person that you are saying that.
But he's the one that was on convoy yesterday. I saw clips of him. Long convoy.
Yahaya Bello, after that incident, what happened? He went to court. And then the court made a pronouncement. If the EFCC now goes against that pronouncement, you, Ezine, that is now talking this, will now say, hey, dictatorship. EFCC is going against. Nigerians are very emotional people. If Nigerians can be calm, sentient, and fact-driven, they will see that this country is actually better than a lot of country. As for the one-party state that you talked about, it is so silly for anybody to say that. And I'm sorry. Look, I am a very, very vehemently patriotic person. One-party state can only exist in a situation whereby you are forced to join the state party. That's why we have a one-party state. When you are forced to join a state party, where you have a party and people like that party because of their seeing results and they willingly join that party, that is not a one-party state.
But some governors, a governor said that the commissioners would
must
join him as his
no.
If
That
not,
is no. Listen to this. Listen to this. That is the governor of Akwa Ibom. So you go and attack the governor of Akwa Ibom. Do not go and attack APC. APC did not ask the governor of Akwa Ibom to say that. That is a decision of the governor of Akwa Ibom.
but he's a representative of APC. He's a member of APC now.
So
it's just like you saying you're a Nigerian. When you travel abroad, you're a Nigerian. When I see Nigeria, I'm not going to say, oh, let me go and be looking for your president. So he is now a member of APC. So whatever decision he's making, I'm looking at him as an APC member. So why don't his what's it called? I don't know the word to use, but the people that are higher than him, why don't they, this thing you're saying now, you're speaking for Nigeria and say, no, this is wrong. People should attack him. I want to ask you whether people have actually called him to say, no, don't do that.
Can I show you how shallow what you have just said is? Now, let me ask you a question now. Is it right for the Indian government to say our prisons are full of Nigerians? In fact, in Thailand, they now ask you your ethnic origin. I have videos. I can show you. Because they have so many people in their prisons in Thailand from a particular section of this country. So many people in Thailand. In Seychelles.
What section?
I'm not going to say the section because then I'm going to be insulted. Now, is it fair for people to now look at you and say, oh, you are from a section of this country, you are a criminal? Is it going to be fair? So how are you now going to say, okay, because the governor of Akwa Ibom said so, then APC is doing that? No, this is a country. This is a federal government. Do you know what it means to be a federal government? It means that the president has no control over a governor. Please let me land. The president has no control over a governor. The governor can say and do whatever he wants to do in his state, and he is the alpha and omega in the state. If we don't like it, let us go and change our constitution. The governor cannot do anything. The only thing that the president can do, if there is a crisis in that state, the constitution allows the governor to declare a state of emergency and then remove the governor for a first instance of 6 months. So if the governor of Akwa Ibom has done that, attack the governor of Akwa Ibom.
No, what I'm saying is, are you saying that there is nobody or there are no set of people that he listens to that can call him to order to say, no, this decision that you made in your state, I think is too, strong.
If such people exist, they are going to have power of influence that is voluntary, but they are not going to have power of influence that is by law. They cannot force him. He is a governor. He's the alpha and omega of that state. The president cannot do anything to him. If the president does anything to him, you, Ezine, will come, gather one person activist here. That useless president, he's a dictator. You will do it. That is true. You're going to do it. Right. So we have to understand how government works.
True.
The man is the alpha and omega. He said, I don't like what he did. And I think there was one commissioner, and I have to praise that commissioner. The commissioner said, no, I'm not going with you. Let's praise that commissioner. But what that man did is not what the APC did. So when we were in PDP, we had governors that were coming to join us. In PDP, we had governors that were coming to join us. How many people talked about one-party states? In PDP, when we were in PDP, we had opposition governors that were coming to even join us. How many people talked about one-party states? In PDP, right now, as Nigeria is, when Obasanjo was in 2003, Obasanjo held a meeting and told people, he said that, he said, beg, borrow, steal. That was the term. Then in 2007, he said that this election is a do or die affair. In 2003, Obasanjo removed democratically, they say some people say it was not too democratically, the entire AD governors in the Southwest. Only Bola Tinubu remained. Why didn't people talk about one-party state then? How many people did Obasanjo remove? So it's just like now I see people say that, okay, yes, they are naming things after President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Okay, you say that they're naming things after President. First and foremost, Tinubu.
Especially things that already had name before.
But Tinubu, first and foremost, listen to this. Why weren't they complaining when Buhari was in office and then the Maiduguri International Airport was renamed Muhammadu Buhari International Airport. Damaturu International Airport was renamed Muhammadu Buhari International Airport. These are two states that even share a border, Borno and Yobe. They named their international airport after him. Cantonment in Abuja that already had a name, they named it after Muhammadu Buhari. State Park was named after Muhammadu Buhari. The university in Daura, Transport University, Amechi named it President Muhammadu Buhari Transport University. A police estate, they named after Muhammadu Buhari. Second Niger Bridge is not Second Niger Bridge, it is actually Muhammadu Buhari Niger Bridge. Are you aware? That's the official name.
Oh, wow.
It is not Second Niger Bridge, it is Muhammadu Buhari Bridge. Why didn't they complain? It is because now it has come to the south. It is now in the southwest. It is now in the hand of a Yoruba man. Now that you are going to complain, there were more structures named after Buhari when he was in office than under TINUBU. And in America, there are 2 highways named after Trump. There is a Department of Justice building named after Trump. There is a state park named after Trump. How many Democrats have come out to say, yes, we don't like it, this is wrong? How many Democrats have you heard of one?
But is it right? Do you think it's right to keep renaming?
If I were in the shoes of all these people, I would not do it. But what I'm trying to tell you is that there is a precedent for it, and it was not done by the president. You know.
Let's talk about 2027.
Okay.
I mean, it's interesting that in 2025, people are talking about 2027 alliances, coalition, and the likes. Your former very good friend, Malam Nasiru El-Rufai, said he was done with the APC. He was encouraging people to go and register with the SDP, and we have seen him alongside, former Minister for Transport, Rotimi Amechi, Wazirin, Peter Obi, and so many other people talking about a coalition. And this is also very interesting because while you served as special assistant under President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, former President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, you have also mentioned there that there was a coalition at the time, and that was what eventually culminated in the victory of former President Muhammadu Buhari in 2015. What do you think about this coalition, considering the political heavyweights that are coming together and are about to pool resources ahead of the elections?
Genesis 11:6, it says that now the people are united and they speak one language, and because they are one, nothing shall be impossible to them. Genesis 11:6. A coalition only works when there is unity. This coalition, there is no unity. As a matter of fact, there is more unity in the APC. More people. That's why I wonder whether it is the APC that is actually doing coalition, or if it is these people that are doing coalition. More people, more governors, more senators, more House of Reps, more ordinary Nigerians are joining the APC than are joining the coalition.
More ordinary Nigerians.
Yes. So if you look at the coalition, this coalition that I'm talking about now, you mentioned that the main mover of the coalition is Malam Nasir El-Rufai. Malam Nasir El-Rufai submitted his name to be a minister under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He was rejected by the National Assembly, and that was at that point when he now remembered that, Bola Tinubu is not good anymore. He went to the National Assembly. He was defending his ministerial. It was when he was rejected, and that goes to show you that it's not a rubber stamp National Assembly. They rejected him. That's when he remembered. Okay, now let's look at that Nasir El-Rufai. He was governor of Kaduna State. He was governor of Kaduna State. APC lost the presidential election in Kaduna State. PDP won. He was governor of Kaduna State, sitting governor. APC lost the senatorial election. PDP won the senatorial election. I think they won all 3 senatorial seats. Then in the House of Representatives, he also lost the representative election. PDP came first, and then the rest of the seats were shared between APC and Labour Party. In the gubernatorial election in Kaduna State, he was only able to, he managed to win by 11,000 votes. 11,000 votes. So if as incumbent governor, he was not able to deliver a state, how can he deliver a state as a disgruntled ex-governor that is fighting his own governor, that has been indicted by his own Kaduna State House of Assembly? You think about it, how? Even in that SDP, there are people there that are saying that he's not a genuine member. Some people are there. I think the national chairman came and said they don't really know him. So there is no unity there. Which governor has followed them to this their coalition? Which governor? Peter Obi came out and said, okay, he is not in any coalition. He did say so. So, I mean, this coalition, to me, I think it's a dislocation, not a coalition.
Reno, let's talk about security. The security in Nigeria seems to continue in its degenerate state. If you were to advise the presidency with regards to security matters, would you suggest a kinetic approach or a non-kinetic approach, especially with regards to Boko Haram and terrorism in Nigeria?
Those are just fancy words. Chairman Mao, he said something that it doesn't matter if the cat is black or white as long as it kills mice. So those are just fancy labels. The reason why Nigeria is having insecurity at this level is because of what happened in the Sahel. So we saw that democratic governments fell from Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, and Chad. And what happened is that right now, when you had the democratically elected president, I believe his name was it Saleh of Burkina Faso? I'm trying to remember his name. The country was fairly stable. When he was overthrown, the jihadists, the Islamists, they've taken more of the country in Burkina Faso. They've taken more. The Russian people who were helping them, Wagner forces, they are killing them. They are really killing them seriously. They've killed more soldiers. The country is in a crisis situation. Burkina Faso, Mali, the same thing. Niger, the same thing. So those people, as they are making ground in these Sahel countries, then they are coming to Nigeria. That's what's happening. They are all coming to Nigeria because the reason why all of this started in the first place is because President Obama foolishly allowed Gaddafi to fall. Gaddafi, in some ways, could have been a nasty piece of...
Trump said both Gaddafi and Saddam Hussein had their good sides.
Allow me. Gaddafi was a nasty piece of work in some ways, but he kept his country stable. Because some of the things that he was doing, he was the one that caused all the wars in the Manu River region with Liberia, Sierra Leone, and all those countries. He was arming rebels. He was the one. In Nigeria, he tried to do that, but Obasanjo was in power, and Obasanjo is smarter than him. He landed and he insisted that he was going to bring all his guns. And then Obasanjo called, what's his name? Femi Fani-Kayode was Minister of Aviation, and told him, just be cajoling him. I will come, and I will come and I will rebuke you. But those guns must not enter Abuja. I don't know if you recall. And the Obasanjo went and then decided to rebuke FFK at the airport. And then at the end of the day, he now told him, okay, don't worry, because Gaddafi was threatened that he was going to walk from the airport. What had been happening before then? Gaddafi had been coming to Nigeria with guns and then leaving Nigeria without guns. How we know is because the way the plane coming in and the way the plane going out. So the Nigerian intelligence services found out. So President Obasanjo said, no, he is not coming into Nigeria with guns. Those guns must stay. But because of diplomacy, he had to now use Femi Fani-Kayode as the bad guy while he was starting, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? But he was really the one telling Femi Fani-Kayode not to do it. So when Gaddafi fell, a lot of all these light arms started coming down south, not southern Africa as in South Africa, but
southwards.
Started coming southwards, and they were coming to Nigeria. The United States that caused the problem, not Obama that caused the problem, refused to help us. He refused to help us, and that's how all of these things started. Boko Haram, and I know I'm going to get criticized for this, was not a violent organization. Mohammed Yusuf was a charismatic preacher who feared God. Someone like me, I could have been his friend. I like the man. The man loved God. He was not materialistic. He was genuine. What happened in Borno? They had put a bylaw that people should wear helmets, and then I think his people, they live in communes. Maybe they did not know and they did not wear a helmet, so they killed some of his people. And then there was a protest, and then the protest turned bloody. I mean, this is Nigeria, northern Nigeria. What happened? They caught the man and then they killed him. And then when they killed him, Mohammed Yusuf was the only person that had the capacity, that had the clout to tell his people, stop. So when they killed him, there was nobody to tell them stop. So they became, headless mob. They became a headless mob with no head. And then when they became a headless mob, people that came from Libya with weapons, like Mohammed Shekau, now came and now took over. And that's how if Mohammed Yusuf had not been killed, Boko Haram would not have been our problem. Now, after Boko Haram became a problem, things started to stabilize a bit until this Russia-inspired coups in the Sahel region, and then the security situations in those countries. Nigeria cannot move out of Nigeria to fight insecurity in Burkina Faso, to fight insecurity in Niger, to fight insecurity in Chad, to fight insecurity in Mali. They will say we have invaded them. So the best we can do is to wait for it to come here and fight it. And that's why it looks as if that there is a resurgence. No, there is no resurgence. Before, under General Muhammadu Buhari, almost 800 terrorists in 450 motorbikes went to Abuja, invaded Kuje prisons, released their colleagues, 900 of them. Released their colleagues, 900 of them. You want to say you did not hear?
No.
Afterwards, what happened? They went and then fought with the Brigade of Guards. Do you know what the Brigade of Guards are? The people guarding the president. They killed soldiers guarding the president, Brigade of Guards. What happened? Afterwards, they invaded the Nigerian Defense Academy. You've forgotten? They invaded there. They killed soldiers there. They went to the Nigerian Army University in Biu. They invaded it, destroyed it. They went to the tarmac of the Kaduna airport. They were there. Photos were taken. They bombed the Kaduna-Abuja railway. Has any of that happened under Bola Tinubu? But because, Nigerians have short memories and it's so easy, very emotional people, they will just be riled up. That's what's happened.
Let's talk about Niger and their uranium. Okay, and I think my final question. Let's talk about Niger. Final two questions. I'll just sum them up. Uranium in Niger was allegedly sold under the colonial regime, that's the democratic regime, for about $1 a kilogram. Meanwhile, global prices are about €200 for a kilogram. After this Russia-inspired dispute, the prices of uranium in Niger have stabilized to the normal prices. Would you say this was a win for Niger and their ability to take back from the French colonizers what their resources and have a hold of their resources, which wasn't the case under the democratic regime? What is your take on that? And secondly, my final question, you're a young man. The only people we can consider youth in politics today are you, Sowore, and to a small extent, Peter Obi. Is there...
How old is Peter Obi?
That's why I said to a small extent, because he's in his 60s, but he's still younger than Asiwaju and Waziri. So you are like the future. Maybe he's the older of you people's political age bracket. Is there any way or hope a coalition of young, intelligent minds like you, Sowore, and Obi, is there any opportunity for such a coalition? Can you ever make up with Peter Obi and be cordial like you once were? What about Omoyele Sowore? What is your take on him? Can you work with him? Over to you. The two questions and I sign off.
I tend to talk about things that I have the facts on. I don't have the facts on Niger, so I'm not going to talk about Niger. I don't even know if what you said is true. So I don't have the facts, so I'm not just going to delve there. Omoyele Sowore is not the most intelligent person, and I'm going to say why. Omoyele Sowore, he'd been having a field with me. He'd written so many lies about me. Lies that, were unnecessary. Very unnecessary lies. And I proved that they were lies. He accused me of doing something in Warri when I was not even in Warri. I was not even physically there. And I sent evidence to him and all of that. He would not even remove the story. He'd written, so many lies about me. But then we made peace when Obedience gathered and they set up a petition to try to get me out of X. They wanted to get me out of X. And then we talked, we made peace. We made peace. And then 2 weeks after we made peace, he started attacking me. And I called Deji Adeyonju. I said, look, this man is too emotional. He's not going to make a good leader. You and I just made peace after years of a feud. Then 2 weeks after, you go and it's so unnecessary. Look, let me tell you something. A good leader has the ability to work with people he does not like. A good leader should have the ability to work with people he does not like. This Peter Obi, even though that I might not like him, this Omoyele Sowore, even though that I might not like him, I can work with them. I can work with anybody. There is no person on earth that is irredeemable. There's no person on earth that is irredeemable. If you read scripture, go and read. When God said, okay, he wanted to deal with the king of Israel, he asked a question in heaven. He said, who will help us deceive the king of Israel? And they said, one angel came and gave this. One angel came and gave this. Then an evil spirit, a demon came and said, no, this is how I'm going to do it. And God said, your plan will work. Now, what are we seeing? God working with what? If you read 1 Corinthians 5:5, what did Peter say? What did Paul say? 1 Corinthians 5:5, he said, hand that man over to Satan for the destruction of the flesh, that the body might be saved.
Yeah.
So this is Paul giving an assignment to Satan. Now, you can imagine that. You have to understand that, and okay, and this is in scripture. This is in scripture. It says that in a good man's house, there are going to be tools that you can use for honor, and then tools that you can use for dishonor. In Yoruba, if I say the proverb, it's going to confuse a lot of people, but they say because of the madman in your neighbor's house, you have a small madman in your own house that you can unleash. That you can unleash. You have a small madman. That's the same. Why do we have armies? It's not because we like war, we like to fight. It's not because we don't like. But if my neighbor, okay, Daddy Freeze now, living with Daddy Freeze. I used to greet Daddy Freeze every day, and then one day I greet Daddy Freeze. He turns his face like that. I say, okay, the next day I see that Daddy Freeze has bought gun. Daddy Freeze has gotten megad. Daddy Freeze has gotten dog. If I'm a wise man, I'll say, let us go and find our own small megads and keep, because we don't know what is in the man's mind. That is it. So I can work with anybody. There is nobody that is alive. The only person that you cannot work with is a person that has died. Everybody, as long as they are alive, they are salvageable. Everybody. And that's why I said, Boko Haram, if we had done the right thing, we could have been able to convince them to be a political party rather than a terrorist group.
Okay, sir. I
thought this man said last question.
And that was his last question.
No, his last two. This is the final one for all of us.
Okay.
So, sir, I want to talk about Japa because the politicians, the simple man, even you, everybody is Japaing.
No, that's not true. No, that's not true.
You're working from there.
No, that's not true. Please, let me just give you historical context.
Okay.
I became a U.S. resident in 1983 at the age of 9. At the age of 9, I was living at the University of California, Berkeley, in the campus at Albany.
Okay.
I returned to go to do some education here, and then I schooled in England. From England, I was working at Parliament. I would have continued working at Parliament. Maybe I would have been something there. I was invited back so I've spent more of my life outside Nigeria, more of my life in the United States. So I didn't Japa. My own is reverse Japa. I came back. I came back to help President Jonathan.
Okay, but I just want to take it this way. Your parents took you over there, right? Meaning they Japa, like they went over there. Okay, so I would just want to know if the country is really that great or everything is going so well. Why is everyone always talking about, oh, I can't wait to leave this country, or they're always planning? Even the politicians, the sitting politicians presently, their children are not in this country. I mean, why can't they send their children back to also help the youth in making the country better?
I don't think anybody has ever said that Nigeria is better than these countries. I don't think people recognize that Nigeria. So, I mean, who is saying that, okay, Nigeria is good? People should no, nobody is saying that. The thing there is that Nigeria is better than a lot of countries. I think it was last year, Peter Obi told a very big lie and said that Tanzania had solved their power problem, and that because they had too much power, they shut down their dams. It was a big lie. There was a cyclone hit Daya, and their dams were flooded, and the whole country was on blackout, 24-hour blackout. They couldn't produce power. That was why they shut their dams. And he lied. And I went to Tanzania. I was in Tanzania 2 weeks ago with this man, and previously I've been to Tanzania 4 times. And when I was in Tanzania, I asked them, do they say, wait, they take you? I'm sure some of you must have seen the video. They say, they take light in Tanzania. And I told them, okay, how much is petrol in Tanzania? Petrol in Tanzania is about 3 times what it is in Nigeria. And I told them, okay, how much is your minimum wage? And I told them, okay, if you can come to a country with a minimum wage of about $55 and with fuel at 3 times less than, you say, please give me visa, we will come. There are people that want to come to Nigeria. That's why Dirty December is working. Dirty December, do you know how much money came into Lagos because of Dirty December? People that came and said, what? Is this Nigeria? This is not what we've been seeing all over. Because the greatest demarketers of Nigeria are Nigerians. Nigerians, they are terrible, horrible, oh my gosh, the kind of horrible things that Nigeria, give a Nigerian the microphone and ask me to say about Nigeria, he will not market Nigeria, begin to demarket Nigeria. Meanwhile, take 50,000 naira, convert it to Ghanaian cedi, go to Ghana, go to their market, buy something with that 50,000 naira, then come back to Nigeria, take that same 50,000 naira, go to a market and buy something, come and do a video. If you have more things from Ghana, I will change my name. It's not going to be Reno. Nigeria is a good country. Of course, there are problems in Nigeria. There's no part of Nigeria I've not visited. It's not only abroad I like traveling to. I've been to Yankari. I went to Gashaka Gumti. I went to all the national parks in Nigeria. I've been there. I carried gun. 2000, I went into Gashaka Gumti. Gashaka, because there are lions there. So you just don't want to go there. If you just go there, I went there. When I went there, one white guy was killed by a lion.
Wow.
Gashaka Gumti. Gashaka Gumti is probably bigger than Lagos and Anambra combined. It's the largest national park. If you go to Gashaka Gumti, if they tell you are in Nigeria, you will not believe. Gashaka Gumti is so beautiful. But Nigerians, when they get money, they want to go to Paris to go and shop. They want to go to London to go and shop. They want to go to New York to go and shop. Me, how do I go to all of these places? I've been traveling. I traveled on my own from America to Nigeria at the age of 9, and I can produce evidence. At the age of 9, I traveled to places that remind me of Nigeria. Nigeria is a beautiful country. Go to Mambila Plateau, go to Ikogosi Warm Springs, go to Gurara Falls, go to what's his place in Cross River now? Obudu Cattle Ranch. Go to the Northeast Arid Zone. I went to Dubai. I was driving in the desert. And I was, my wife was saying, oh, it's so beautiful. I said, yes, it's because in Ethiopia, they don't have desert. Come to Nigeria. I will take you to Yobe State. They call it Netzap. That place is more beautiful than Dubai. The desert that you're going to see. Then you go to Kebbi State, you go to Argungu Fishing Festival. You just see there. I went to Argungu Fishing Festival. It's so beautiful, so lovely. Then you now go to Kano, you go to the Doba Kakaki. They'll blow it. Nigeria is such a lovely country. Then you come down south, you come down, you go to Nike Lake, you go to Oguta Cave. You get there. But Nigerians don't want. They want to go to, look at me, everything I'm wearing from head, except my shoes, is made in Nigeria.
Wow.
I went
but
to
we
the
have
US
Nigerian made
Congress.
shoes, so you should
I
patronize
wore
them.
Nigerian made shoes. I bought this man, I sent him to Aba to buy Nigerian made shoes. When I bought that shoe, because I wanted to promote Aba, precisely it was people of Igbo origin that began insulting me. And I said that, okay, you know what? I don't want to damage this thing I'm trying to do for Nigeria. I carried the shoe and I said, anything Igbo, I'm not going to promote again. Not because I don't love Igbo, but because of the way I was promoting Innocent, they were insulting me. I said, look, I don't know what I've done to these people. I said, okay, I left the shoe. Do you know shoes that all designer kind of shoes? I can afford anything. I just wanted to promote made in Aba.
Why were they insulting
Ask
you?
them now. Did
you make? I mean,
I didn't do anything.
I don't think they are mad that they will just.
I did not do anything. I wore shoe, and I said this shoe is made in Aba. It's actually, so you go and see. So because of that, I just said, you know what? If you are doing a campaign like this to grow Nigeria, grow the Naira, you cannot allow controversy come. Yeah. I'm going to give you a very good example, and I'm not going to name the telecommunication firm. When I began to do this campaign, MTN lost so many.
You are not going to name them.
No, MTN, I'm not going to name the one that gained.
Oh, okay.
MTN lost so many subscribers, and another one gained because of the campaign. Because of the campaign that I was doing. You know, so the thing is a lot of people don't realize $12 million every day is leaving Nigeria to South Africa and India because of MTN and Airtel. It should not be. In Ghana, I went to Ghana. I don't talk what I don't know. In Ghana, they took MTN to court because they said that MTN is what they call a hostile monopoly. Because they were ruining their own telcos, their own Ghana-owned telcos. They took them to court. The Ghanaian court fined MTN. So these are the things that we have to do. If we want to control our own economy, we have to start buying and wearing made in Nigeria things. And that's why I'm impressed and also not impressed by what I'm seeing here.
This is Michael Ekeade, made in Nigeria.
This jeans, is he made in Nigeria? This clothes.
Yeah, so made in Nigeria.
Shake me in there. You won't come? So when we wear
husband material
full regalia in Nigeria.
Nothing he is wearing is of Nigerian origin. Nothing. That is not of Nigerian origin. That is a European winter cap that the colonialists were using. And it is true. No, this is a fact. It is the truth. No, it is the truth. That is a winter cap. It is not of Igbo origin. It's a winter cap. This thing that is wearing, the reason why they call it Etibo, even my people Shekiri, they wear it. I don't wear it because it is actually a sailor's uniform. The reason why they call it Etibo is because it was sold for 8 bows. 8 bows is an old currency, so they could not pronounce 8 bows. That's why they call it Etibo. Etibo. It's not of Nigerian origin. These stores are not of Nigerian origin. And all this rapper, they call them George. The reason why they call them George is because during the coronation of King George, the colonial government gave Nigerian women George, and that's why they started to wear it. It comes from Holland. And then the cheaper one comes from India. But they just make you think that it's Nigeria. It's not made in Nigeria. Ashaoke has been made in Nigeria for over 800 years. If you go to the British Museum, you see Oni of Ife. The reason why you don't know it's Ashaoke is because you are used to Ashaoke being sewn like this. That one is Ashaoke that the Oni of Ife wrapped around his body, then put in a loop over his shoulder and tied. So that's why I'm going to wear only Nigerian, authentically Nigerian material and design.
Very good. As we take it home, it's good that you have explained all of this. Truth is, if we go through, the history and origin, it's clear. Even the Ankara has Indonesian origin.
Quite true.
Hollandis.
Yeah, but it's good you have mentioned this. But a lot of our political office holders don't showcase this example and influence Nigerians to buy Nigerian.
I can't control them, but me.
Yeah, I know, I understand. No.
I went to 10 Downing Street. I wore Ashoke.
Yes.
I went to Congress. I wore Ashoke.
Yes.
I went to Canada. The Canadian Prime Minister, former Canadian Prime Minister Stephen Harper, is, what's this you're wearing?
Yes.
And I just I said, you like it? And I removed and I gave to him. On Lagos Calabar Coastal Highway. After when I finished, one of the journalists, I like this Ashoke. I said, okay, follow me to the hotel. I did a ceremony and I said, look, I wanted to do it secretly. But I said, no, bring camera. Bring camera. And the one I wore, Lagos, I gave it to one of the journalists, Everywhere I go, I wear made in Nigeria. I was recently in Trinidad. I went to Trinidad. In Trinidad, I gave out so many Ashoke that I almost became naked.
But I was going to make my point. It's good that you have said this. And truth is, you cannot control, people. But the people we see and expect to lead a certain or show certain examples so that we can learn from is also important. And I said this to also mention that you have mentioned beautiful places in Nigeria, but our political office holders would rather go out for meetings. Like after the imposition of, after the president exercised his powers, and there was emergency rule in Port Harcourt, in Rivers State, the minister met with some of the members of the Rivers State House of Assembly in the United Kingdom for a meeting to just discuss. Even the president, his midterm trip was said to be a working visit to France, to Paris, where he reviewed the midterm report of his administration and checked the performance of his ministers. So I said to just mention this because as young people, we look up to certain people. And if somebody like Benmore Bruce is saying, buy the Naira, buy Niger to grow the Naira, and he shows examples of such, people are inspired by it. But if other people would rather tell us buy Niger to grow the Naira. And we are seeing them watching Real Madrid versus Barcelona and not Remo Stars versus Kano Pillars. And we are seeing them, with their children doing a lot of, family vacation in the United Kingdom and not in Ojude Oba Festival. Many people would think it's hypocrisy. So I just said to make that point.
I agree. But in my own case, I'm not hypocritical.
And you look really
in my own
very
case, all my designers, I gave them out. I did a contest and I said, look, people, if they want, I did a contest and I gave all of them out. I just gave all of them. I said, I can't be having all of these followers and then I'll be wearing a Balenciaga to balance. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be wearing my African, authentically made in Nigeria designs so people can be inspired to wear them. Because one thing I know, you can never be rich on a borrowed culture.
Yes.
You're never going to be rich on a borrowed culture. So I can speak with an American accent. I've been living in California since 1983, but I deliberately speak like this. I'm not going to say that, because all my children, my first daughter, Orisha Shola Yemi, my first son, Orisha Misa, his twin brother, Orisha Matosa, my last daughter, Ebele. Nobody can. I don't want to have any because I'm now too old. But I cannot have a child and they'll come and tell me that your child, they'll bring them from Bible. God forbid, I reject Bible name or Quran name. If you are a Christian, you can be a Christian with your name, Ikemefuna. You can be a Muslim with your name, Bolahon. You don't have to be. You are being Christianized. You are not being Westernized. So just so that's the thing there. My daughter, you will not understand. My daughter Dakun, bring your phone. I want to show them a picture of my daughter. My daughter does not greet me in the morning. And when I say good morning, my daughter greets me in the morning. Say, "Hey, my daughter has multiple passports. My daughter was born. Her mother is not even Nigerian, but she greets me. She Dakun. Dakun in Shekiri means kneel down. My daughter, bring them. Let's see evidence. Show them around. Let me see. That's my daughter. That's how she greets me in the morning. That's Dakun.
Oh, she's so cute.
That's my daughter Dakun.
She's so pretty.
Oh my God.
That's my daughter. She Dakun. Show.
That's a belly, right?
Yes, that's a belly. That's my daughter. She Dakuns for me to greet me.
Wow, beautiful.
My daughter Dakuns to greet me. My daughter, you ask her the meaning of her name. My daughter will tell you what her name means. So if we want to do this thing, we have got to do it all the way. We've got to do it all the way. It's not just by dressing, Patrick Doyle was with me last night, and then Patrick Doyle does not know how to speak Shekiri. So he told me, he called me by because he's related to me. So he called me by the name my family called me. And he said, look, teach me how to speak Shekiri. And I began teaching him. And I'm going to surprise you guys. Until I was 16, all I could speak was highfalutin English.
Wow.
Highfalutin English. It was at 16 years old, not my mother or my father, because my mother insisted that we either speak English or we speak Ishekiri, no pidgin. So all I could speak was English. And then my mother had a baby. And my mother's, my grandmother's sister, because my grandmother died, came to stay with us. And I noticed she could speak Shekiri. And she would want to speak English with me. I said, no, Mafio Ibo. Shekiri. And that's how I learned how to speak Shekiri at the age of 16.
Interesting. Thank you very much, Mr. Reno Omokri. Very loaded episode. It's good to see, people passionate about our great country, Nigeria. As Nigerians, it's important to state that, it's our responsibility to contribute to nation building and national development, whether we like it or not. There is no other country that we can call home except our country, Nigeria. And I would want to believe that everybody wants Nigeria to be great. The resources are there, human and capital. Whatever we do to make this country great, it depends on our contribution. So not be to just talk, say, I don't tire, this country, this, that. As you they talk, make you also they work so that Nigeria go better. Once again, a round of applause for Mr. Reno Omokri. Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you guys for having me.
Good night.
Bless you.